This video is sponsored by DJI.
This is DJI RS3 and this is DJI RS3 Pro.
They are brand new stabilizers for mirrorless and cinema cameras.
But these things are not just gimbals, they are also magicians. As you can see, right now all the arms are locked, but watch what happens when I turn them on. They unlock themselves. They escape the locks, like Houdini.
And when you turn them off,
They fold and lock themselves.
RS3 can carry payloads up to 3 kilos, it weighs 1.3 kilos and it's made from aluminum alloy. RS3 Pro can carry payloads up to 4.5 kilos, it weighs 1.5 kilos, it is made from carbon fiber and it has RSA ports, which means you could install a RS3 Pro on jibs, cable cams, sliders, vehicle mounts and steady cams. They both have Bluetooth shutter control, bright 1.8-inch OLED touchscreen, physical mode switch button, fine-tune balancing knob, 3rd generation RS stabilization algorithm, detachable battery and 12-hour battery life with fast charging capabilities. RS3 supports the brand new focus motor, brand new briefcase handle, and Ronin image transmitter, which gives the stabilizer tracking and monitoring capabilities. RS3 Pro supports all of that and brand new LiDAR focusing system, which turns manual focus lenses into autofocus lenses. And the DJI transmission system, which can control the RS3 Pro gimbal and the camera remotely up to 6 kilometers. Both RS3 and RS3 Pro are ergonomic, fast, and easy to operate. So I guess the question is it any good?
Alright, give me the punches. You got it!
He knows!
That's what we're doing!
So that is shot with Sony a7S III with 20mm lens mounted on DJI RS3. The camera is set to standard steady shot and there is no stabilization added afterwards. Apart from the color, this is the footage came from that shot. I actually did many shots here with many different angles and I shot everything in 120 frames per second so I can slow it down. But instead, I wanted to show you this one uncut video of me running like crazy with the gimbal in my hand so you know what RS3 and RS3 Pro are capable of. They both have same payload capacities as RS2 and RSC2. But now the names are a lot clearer and easier to understand. DJI RS3, DJI RS3 Pro. RS3 is more towards smaller projects for content creators, independent videographers, for weddings, YouTube videos, and similar projects. On the other hand, RS3 Pro can do all of that and above. There were some very significant differences between RS2 and RSC2, but when it comes to DJI RS3 and RS3 Pro, the differences are smaller. They're actually very similar. They both have the removable grip, so you can charge your battery separately. The battery is the battery from RS2 and you can swap the batteries in between. This one has a new battery, the handle is smaller, but you can swap them and use them as you wish. Now they both have a really nice bright touchscreen that makes operating this gimbal super easy. They also have this switch button on the side, both of them, where you can change between pan follow tilt and FPV modes. When you switch to FPV, you can also access the custom modes like 360 roll and portrait mode. You can pair RS3 and RS3 Pro to your camera via Bluetooth. If you half press the record button on the gimbal, you can focus, and if you push the button all the way, you can trigger the shutter button or start-stop recording. which means you can use the Ronin app to stop recording as well.
They both have this new briefcase handle, which makes things so much easier. This is such a great addition to the gimbal. You can mount your phone here. You can adjust this without any tools. You can lock it in easily and operate it immediately. We have a cold shoe mount down here, a tripod mount there. To get the super low angles, I used this briefcase handle with something like this. I can leave the link to this in the description box below, so you can go and check it out. I got it from Amazon. And mounted like this, and I was able to bring this really close to the ground and run. They also both have the fine tuning knob, which makes balancing this gimbal a lot easier. And of course, they both have the automatic locks. You turn it on, everything gets unlocked, and you start shooting. And once you're done, you can tap on it and it puts it into sleep mode, and you can select between how you want it to lock in sleep mode or when you turn it off. And in sleep mode, I picked this, so it locks like this. Nothing is jiggly wiggly, everything is in its place. And then once I'm ready to shoot, I tap on the power button, we get out of the sleep mode, and we can go and shoot again. And once I'm done, I hold down the power button and it goes into this mode, fold and lock. That's it. Super simple. Now let's talk about the LiDAR focus system. This thing basically has LiDAR sensor which understands the distance of the things, and it has a camera on it. So now, let alone knowing the distance of things, it can track without anything else. You don't need to use the image transmitter or anything. You can just go in here and monitor it, and it can track whatever it sees. See, the camera is off and it doesn't matter. It's still tracking me because the LiDAR focus sensor is turned on. And it can understand faces, and with one tap on the trigger, it can start following, or you can switch modes and just drag and select something you want to track, and it starts tracking that. And because it can understand the distance, you can program this LiDAR sensor with either manual focus lenses, teach them the distance and the focusing, which is super simple, by the way. I thought that can be a lot of work to do, but you basically put your lens on and then you go 1 meter away from something, and then you make sure it's in focus. You tap on one thing, and then you go 4 meters away, and then you make sure it's in focus, and then you tap on something, and suddenly this thing turns the manual focus lens into autofocus lenses. Which also means you can use a lens with a really narrow field of view. Because it's using its own wide angle camera, it will keep on tracking that subject. It will not lose it. You can store up to 3 lenses, and you can switch between them using the FN button, and you can switch between autofocus or manual focus using this button, unless you don't want to use the menu. It's also available for you in the menu over here as well. But if you know me a little, you know I like to push things a little further than what they are claimed to be doing. So what I did here, probably some of you caught it, I attached this to my zoom instead of focus. So what that does is, when I switch to autofocus, it is actually auto zoom. So now, as you can see, when I move back, it's zooming in, and when I move closer, it is zooming out. What that means is I can perform a dolly zoom wherever I want, however I want, in the speed I want, because it knows the distance and adjusts the speeds accordingly, and end up with interesting looking dolly zooms that was never possible before. As I'm rotating around the person, I can get close to that person or get further away from that person, and this will zoom in and out accordingly and give me interesting looking dolly zooms that I wasn't able to achieve. Now, we have talked about the Raven Eye before. Now it is called Ronin image transmitter, and it works the same way with these devices. You connect them the same way. You connect the HDMI out from your camera, and then the other end goes into the gimbal, and you can use your app or you can use the monitor on RS3 Pro and track whatever you like. Now let's talk about things that I feel like you should know. First of all, in my experience, this button here that switches between pan, tilt, follow, and FPV mode, selecting pan follow is a little difficult because it's in the middle. Yeah, because it's in the middle, okay? It's not easy. Sometimes I'm running around and chasing stuff. So sometimes I cannot pick pan follow. If it was a dial, like I could have done it better. It's nothing personal. It's not like a negative. It's just, you understand, right? No, I mean, wait, come on. Don't do it. Don't get offended. It's not a big deal. Look at me. Look at me. For example, when I connect the Ronin image transmitter, you cannot show it on your little screen. Yeah, you cannot show it on your little screen, but this one can. But that's the difference between you two, you know. It's not a big deal. Everyone has a phone. They can look at their phone and they can still, you know. Okay, we're good, right? You're not sad or anything? Okay, I'm gonna talk about this one too, you know. Come here. I'm gonna talk about the thing. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that one now. All right, now let's talk about DJI RS3 Pro. The LiDAR sensor is, of course, very accurate and follows you really well, but it doesn't have eye autofocus. So when it is tracking you, it is tracking the thing that is closest to it. So if your nose is the closest, if your nose is the closest thing, you guys can't get sad about this. These are just facts, okay? It focuses on your nose, but in the future probably we will get eye autofocus and it will start tracking eye autofocus. And the LiDAR sensor, the LiDAR focus system is very power hungry, which means don't be sad. It drains the battery really fast, okay? And on your phone, you cannot monitor the LiDAR focusing system the way you can monitor Ronin image transmitter, right? Am I making these things up? These are facts. Am I making them up? No, I'm not making it. Is there any more? No. If you're wondering how that was done, there's a feature called Force Mobile in the Ronin app, and when you turn that on, the gimbal is directed by simply pointing the phone. It follows the directions it gets using the accelerometer in your phone. DJI RS3 is $549 US. Combo version is $719 US. DJI RS3 Pro is $869, and the Pro combo version is $1,099 US. You can find the links to the products in the description box below. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode, and thank you so much DJI for sponsoring this video. And I hope you enjoyed this introduction of DJI RS3 Pro and DJI RS3. Please let me know what you think about these gimbals. Do you use similar stuff? Do you use gimbals in your shot, or do you mostly rely on the stabilization we have in these cameras? Let me know in the comment section below, and until I see you the next time, take really good care of yourselves and hoşça kalın.
Am I still in the frame?
Yeah.